But when it comes to the Broncos rush and leading NFL sacks and pressures, what jumps out about Nik Bonito and the way these guys get after quarterbacks?
The Broncos rush group is a really good group. All five guys they have are really good. On the edges, I would say Bonito is a really good speed rusher. So, there's not many guys like that in the league who has the explosiveness and the first step quickness that he has, which has allowed him, to get a few sacks. So, it's going to take a ton of effort, ton of work to get it done. But we just have to play our technique. Don't overthink it. Just play our technique. Really strain to get them blocked up front, knowing that they're a really solid group and really solid in the inside as well. They'll play a 5 down front. It's just everybody across the board is going to have to win their one-on-one matchup.
Nico practicing today. Is he technically still in the protocol and has to go through further steps?
And Nico is technically still in the under the concussion protocol. We're expecting him to clear in the next few days.
If he and Christian Kirk do return or able to return, how might that look for their wide receiver room, specifically the rookies?
And if Nico and Kirk clears, we're hoping that looks great for us. We got 2 of our top playmakers back out on the field. Anytime we can get those guys out, they add a just explosive element to our offense, playmaker element to our offense. That those guys have done it for a long time. So we're excited to be able to get those guys back, hoping the week goes as good as it can go so we can get them back.
When you have a defense like yours with so many playmakers, do you feel like the guys feed off each other and then it raises the level even more of the whole unit?
Our defensive unit is a very competitive unit, right? There's a lot of competition amongst themselves, right? We're talking about attacking the football, getting the ball. Those guys are constantly competing at who can do it the best. And they are also, they're guys who really encourage each other as well. They're excited to see their teammate make plays. They feed off of each other. It's just a ton of energy when those guys are executing and doing it the right way. It's a ton of energy that they provide to our entire team.
I know that y'all are obviously focused on the team and wins, but do they take pride in being the top-ranked defense in the whole NFL?
Haven't talked about it. Haven't talked about being a top-ranked defense. It's all about us, and I continue to harp on it with the guys. It's just, can we be even more dialed in on being on the details, of our job, which I think we can. We can still play better as a defense. So it's no pats on the back, great job. It's how can we continue to get better, because there is still room for improvement for us.
When you look at that Denver Broncos offense led by Bo Nix, how much is the emphasis on make sure that you're, from the defense side, make sure that you're finishing? Because I think it was a couple of weeks ago they were down 19-0, and they came back, scored 33 points in one quarter. And so what is the message as far as finishing and making sure you contain Bo Nix?
The main thing with Denver's offense is going to start with containing their run game. That's where they hang their hat on the run game. So we have to do a great job of setting edges, tackling well. They have 2 really good backs. And then with Bo Nix, what he does a really good job of, and the coaches have put him in a really good position to get on the edge. He's using his athleticism a lot to get on the edge on a lot of their keeper plays. If it's not there, he doesn't like it. He has the athletic ability to escape the pocket up the middle through the A and B gaps. So we have to be very sound in how we're rushing him, especially our defensive tackles. We have to rush with awareness, because he's a very athletic kid who's made a few explosive plays when he's able to not just escape the pocket running, but he's also made some nice throws as well, escaping the pocket. So it's going to take everybody to continue to be locked in and disciplined in our coverage, disciplined in our rush lanes, because he can go anywhere. A really good player, good young player who's done a good job. And I think as a staff, Coach Payton and his staff has done a really good job of making the game easy for him. So, go ahead.
I know it's not the same, but is there anything that you could take from that Tampa Bay game with the way that Baker does that as well to be able to use this week?
He does have some similarities to Baker, right? The just gutsy playmaker mentality. He does show those capabilities. As a young player, we still just have to be where we're supposed to be, and as a defense, play our defense the right way, and everybody just being sound, because the ball can go anywhere. Right? He does have a really good arm. He has the legs, so you have to defend every blade of grass playing against this Broncos offense. I mean, he throws a really nice deep ball. He's made a couple plays down the sideline there, and then just escaping the pocket, plaster-type drills. Everybody just has to be exactly where they're supposed to be.
Schultz, he was on Sunday. Do you have an update on him? Did he not practicing?
Yeah, Dalton didn't go today, but we're expecting to get him back as the week goes on. He's doing well, progressing just fine.
You've gone against Sean Payton 7 times, I think 4 times as a player, 3 as a coach. Is there anything unique or special or difficult about preparing for a Sean Payton team?
The most difficult thing about Sean Payton's offense is it's a high volume of offense. So you're going to see a ton of different plays, a lot of variety. He does a great job of, whether it's using a quarterback in some zone read type plays, getting in a wildcat, using his receivers on jet sweep. It's a ton of variety. So you really have to trust your rules. You have to trust your techniques, things you've worked from OTAs and training camp. He's going to test all of your rules. So you have to have elite eye discipline, and you have to be exactly where you're supposed to be. It's really a rules, be where you're supposed to be, a disciplined matchup, because he's going to test every single thing that we've had. Any issue plays that have come up, he does a great job of attacking it to see if you cleaned up those issues. So we'll get a heavy dose of a lot of different plays.
Made of Blake Fisher's use as that eligible player on the end of the line, and what does that kind of allow you guys to do? And how important is it to not be stuck in one type of play when he is out there?
And we've used Blake a lot as our jumbo tight end, just trying to get a bigger body there on the edge of the line of scrimmage, whether we're running the ball or throwing the ball. I feel like he can do a great job of blocking some of these elite edge players. So that's why we use that a lot. And I think he's done a good job of it. He's gotten better, and we're kind of spicing up the variety of things that we do within that package.
I believe you and Mercedes Lewis were drafted the same year.
We were.
He was just signed by the Broncos.
Oh, congrats, Mercedes. You're still rolling, buddy.
Do you have any relationship with him?
Yeah, just went against Mercedes a lot of times with him being in the division down in Jacksonville. So seeing him a lot, man, he's still going. That's impressive, right? To be 41 years old, still rolling. That's impressive for him, but he's done a good job. I think, when you see Mercedes, I would say the thing about him is how he shifted his career. He started as a pass-catching tight end, very versatile in the passing game. Then as the years went on, he kind of shifted his mentality to be more of a wide, on-the-ball, blocking tight end, very strong guy at the point of attack, and I can see, why they signed him for that role to really do a great job of blocking the edge.
You guys throughout the year of showing the potential of being able to block up exotic pressures. What about the Broncos blitzes and things of that nature presents a problem for opposing offenses?
And Coach Joseph, he does an unbelievable job of bringing a variety of pressures every single week. You have to be ready. Again, all your protection rules will get tested. Vance does a really good job of knowing how to stress your protection and where the weak points are. So we know we're going to get strained in that area. So it's going to take all 11, again, whether that's the backs stepping up in protection, tight ends, our lines and quarterbacks making the proper call, and we can ID it the proper way. Like, we feel like we can have some plays. But, again, you may think it's one thing. He does a good job of just disguising and mixing things up. Always had, a ton of respect for Coach Vance. Like, was able to spend a year with him here as our secondary coach. I learned a lot under Coach Vance and how he teaches his players, like one of the best coaches in the NFL.
Yeah, man, perfect. But statistically, CJ's numbers are higher than what they were last year. What area have you seen him improve the most?
I think CJ has truly grown just as we've went throughout the season of just really commanding the offense, like being very disciplined with, the calls in the huddle, being disciplined with his reads and where he's supposed to go with the football. As the season has progressed, I feel like he's done a great job of taking what's given to him. If one is open, he's taking one. He's making great decisions. Also, when it's not there, taking the opportunity to check the ball down to our backs. Like, it was a great play that he made last week to check the ball down to Woody, and Woody runs for 50 yards. That's just by the quarterback remaining disciplined, doing what he has to do, and making great decisions to make sure as an offense we're pressing forward.
Obviously, the season's a bit of an arc. You're not the same team week 1 to week 17. That's the kind of halfway point. What have you seen in this offense, and what you've liked where they've grown and have adapted from week 1?
Yeah, the main thing as you go throughout a season, I would say that first month you're trying to figure out who you are, right, and what can you handle, and I've seen us shift, and I've seen us just get more consistent, right, and that's what I've seen us grow as an offense. I see us, not having the same mistakes that we were having in the first 4 weeks of the season. I see us growing and just being able to sustain drives, and that's one thing that we've been harping on is just being able to stay on the field, being able to win on third down. We've done that more. Right, and there's still room to grow for our offense when it comes to just finishing in the red zone. We have to improve in that area. And if we can do that and still maintain what we've been doing, we have a really good offense.
Last one for Sarge.
Coach, this Sunday, excuse me.
Taking me way back.
Right, it's because my camera messed up. But I was gonna say that this Sunday, Mrs. Janice McNair will be inducted into the Texas Ring of Honor, along with her late husband Bob, with Andre, and with JJ. You played here, as a player. You were drafted here, and now you're a coach here. Do you have any, memories of just being able to interact with her and how much of an honor this is for her? Kyle said it was a unanimous first ballot decision.
Yeah, I know it was a unanimous decision. Miss Janice, with just her love and affection for everybody. You talk about someone who supports, who loves Texans football. Like, man, it wouldn't happen without Miss Janice and Bob bringing football back to Houston. So we're thankful, as a city, we're thankful for them bringing football back to Houston, but just how, she supports us in in training camp, she's out there every day supporting the team. And I would say my fondest memory of Miss Janice is saying anytime I talk to her, she said, anytime you need a linebacker, I'm ready to go. So she loves football, she loves the Texans, and she's done everything right in her power to make sure we have everything that we need as a team to be as successful as possible. So we're all thankful for Miss Janice and the late Mr. Bob McNair for what they've done to bring football to Houston and have our city fired up about football again. Now it's on to us to continue to press it forward to take us to new heights. All right, thank you guys.
Can y'all give us a second? Y'all good? Hey, CJ, when it comes to the Broncos and some of the things they do so you can ask the quarterback, what are some commonality things that you see with how Denver brings their rush?
Yeah, they have a really good rush. Starts on their edge, with Bonito and Coop. They do a good job, of playing relentless and just they don't give up. They play really tough, and the interior, they have really good interior guys as well. So they have a really good D-line.
And the remedy for counteracting that kind of defense?
Yeah, playing hard right back, scheme, trying to, do some things, to help our guys up front. So, I think it'll be a good matchup.
What do you like about Woody as a player, and what do you think has allowed him to succeed here early?
Yeah, Woody's very versatile. He can run, catch, he can block. He plays hard. So, yeah, he's very versatile. And, he's brought that versatility to, our team and our offense and has done a lot of good things, coming out the backfield in run game and pass protection, learning the new scheme. I think he's done a great job at it. So he's going to be a great player for us.
CJ, what do you think the jumbo package that you all have been running with Blake Fisher has done for both of you in this offense?
Yeah, it's great. I'm happy Blake's out there, being able to get some reps in, and it gives our team an advantage, I think, in certain ways. We buy some in the run game, so I buy some in the pass protection. So having another, tackle out there. So I think he does a really good job.
CJ, what's the balance in working with a guy like Jalen Noel? Of course, he'll make some mistakes from time to time, but he's shown the explosiveness. Like, how do you balance that in developing that chemistry?
Yeah, I think it takes time, and I think, like I said before, it's like failure is a good thing. It's a chance to learn. Of course, you don't want to do it on Sundays, but if it does happen, you learn from it, you fix it. And I think he's super coachable. He wants to do what's right. He's in here, working his tail off, and at practice doing the same thing. So I think he's going to be a great player, and he's shown that week in and week out, of getting better, learning scheme, learning coverage, and, adapting to it. So I think he's going to be great.
It feels like y'all have pretty good chemistry on the deep ball early on. What do you think is going into that?
Just practice, and I think natural, God-given ability, maybe able to throw it and then they're able to track it and catch it. So a little bit of both, but I think, we've got some good looks with a couple deep throws, and it's just us being on the same page.
CJ, to break the huddle today and have 12 and 13 out there, what did that mean to you?
Great. Yeah, it was great. It was great. I'm so happy they're back. I know they're motivated, to be out there and the ball and, do all the things that we need them to do, to win more games and, it'll help our team even take us to another level. So I'm super happy they came back at the same time too. But, I think it's going to be great for us.
CJ, I know you're a bit of a baseball fan. Did you watch that crazy 18-inning game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was crazy.
Can you imagine playing in a game that lasts almost 7 hours?
No. I don't want to imagine it. But, I mean, you got to do what you got to do to win. And I think, just for them to have that mental strength and the mental ability, to, of course, physical as well, but to be able to grind through all that, just to get a dub. And, yeah, it was cool, man. I'm happy. But, then they came back. The next day I had to play right again. And then, the Blue Jays won. So I think it's a great matchup.
CJ, you have a really good chemistry with your offensive linemen on the field, and I even seen, the video of you saying you had the game ball, but you wanted, 6 more so you could pass them out. When you are around those guys, man, what is the chemistry like with them? I'm talking about just away from the field. Like, how do you all bond?
Yeah, we're all I think something that since before I got to the league, I thought everybody was super serious in the NFL all the time, but we're really all big kids, we're playing a kid game. So we're all goofy, we mess around, play around. And I think, with my chemistry with those guys or my relationship with those guys is all different. Me and Tay have a different relationship than me and, Ed or me and Jake and me and Titus or Lakin or Juice or Blake. We all have different relationships, different type of things. But one thing was very common, we're all goofy. We mess around, crack jokes. It's like we're all brothers, brothers from different moms or, we just all have that bond where, you spend a lot of time together. So you got to find things you like, things you don't like, and you don't kind of just, bond that way.
They say Titus is the funniest in the offensive line room. Did you get that as well from Titus?
Yeah, he's definitely. Titus, he's a character. He's funny.
Since you've been a rookie, you've made a point of either after the games or at podium thanking the Lord. You had a big one after the 49ers and you kind of went in a little bit more depth. Why is that moment important to you? And I've noticed, fans of the NFL that aren't fans of the Texans have taken notice of it as well on social media.
Yeah, I think, and I said this to somebody the other day, for a long time, giving God the glory became a routine, and it wasn't from the heart for a little minute, and I became to become prideful and full of myself, and the Lord had to strip me of those things, and I'm very grateful for it. And I've learned that being self-reliant and being, prideful, or you're bound to fall. But the Bible does also say, that He is just and He is just that He will forgive us as well. And I'm just grateful that He's forgave me and gave me another chance to be in this position. But yeah, I believe that God is. I know my ministry right now is through my talent as football. But I'm not. It's not my identity, a quarterback. But first and foremost, I'm a man of God and a child of God, which is way more important than being a man of God. So I'm a child of the Most High God. So I just try to, encourage others and do what I can. And I don't ever want to speak out of turn, but I try to, just give a little piece here and there, on my journey, because I've had a long, long journey with the Lord where I backslid, lived away from God, and then also, He's just like the prodigal son, is invited me back in with open arms. So I just think it's important that I share my faith because, I think if I can reach out to one person, I hope we make heaven crowded. I want to rob hell every day if we can do that, and if that's through post-game interviews or me just in the street talking to people about the gospel, then I'll do that. So I just try to do that.
And I don't know if you have a relationship with Justin, but you saw Justin Fields get real emotional and real vulnerable about what he said. To see a moment like that, what's that do say to you?
Yeah, I think I've known Justin for a long time now. For about 5-6 years. So. To see his growth, because we were all in college together, wild at one point, just living our life, thinking that we're young forever. But when you learn from your mistakes and you learn that God uses all for your good and His glory, that's when you see, the vulnerability, because you want to share your faith with everybody, because you learn that this stuff it's not sufficient and it's not reliable, nor is it fulfilling. And so when you experience the love of Christ, experience the joy that he gives you, the peace, is when you want to share it to the world. And you can care less what happens, who cares. Like, you can really, it does not matter, because you will want other people to experience that as well. And honestly, it's kind of crazy because as people, we're kind of naturally selfish. But one thing I learned is about, like, the love of Jesus, you want to share it. And so with him, I'm just so, proud of my brother, his growth with that and his vulnerability, because it's hard. Everybody thinks it's so easy what we do probably, and it's really hard because you got personal life, you got football life, you got family and all these different things, and then, everything's talked about. So for him to, and even internally for him, he had people talking about him that, you would hope would not, and they did that. But for him to, still have the courage to speak up about, his walk, I think it was dope, and I'm just super proud of him.
Have you had a moment like that? I mean, DeMeco talked about it just a bit earlier this week about how there's been so much negative talk, and you guys have had up and downs. Have you had a vulnerable moment like that?
I've had those all my life. No, everybody. I can look at everybody in here. We've all probably had our moments, and you're not exempt because it's football, and especially you're spending time. I'm sure with y'all and y'all work, you probably have an off day or two, or sometimes you're just in your emotions, So, we're all going through this life very, very in a similar fashion. I think that's something that, I want to do, is be able to give grace and mercy to people, because that's what God's done to me. But yeah, you have those moments, and I think, the more you can be honest with God and then honest with yourself, I think, it's room for improvement. And I don't want to get super biblical, but I'm a Bible nerd, at least now I am. And 1 John 1:9 says, God is just and faithful to forgive us of our sins if we confess them. That's in the beginning of it. And then James 5:16 says, if we confess our sins to one another, then we may be healed. Then we will be healed. And so that's a horizontal and a vertical representation on confessing your sins, or confessing your emotions, confessing the things you're going through to one another, to God, and then to fellow man. You can be healed by man, but God will forgive you. So I think that's very important and something that I've learned in my life.
And TJ, while you were growing up as a kid, did you have a favorite Halloween costume to wear?
I was actually, which is kind of funny, I was actually Drew Brees for a couple years. I had a Saints, I don't know, I would go to I don't know, what was Dick's Sporting Goods called back in the day? It was something else before it was Dick's Sporting Goods. Was it Sports Authority? Yeah, it was Sports Authority. I used to go to Sports Authority, and my dad bought me this little plastic helmet with the jersey and the pants, and he used to throw me 40 passes a night. And I was a little boy. I probably wore that for 2 years straight. But yeah, that's the one I can remember.
CJ in the locker room after the game on Sunday, Kamari was talking about how they weren't. He's like, I looked up. I don't think we were on the field for 5 minutes. The way that the offense controlled the ball. You all played that complete game. When you all play like that, how exciting is it for you to be able to give that defense that opportunity to get some rest like that?
Yeah, I think they're well deserved of it. I'm super happy to give them less on their plate as they can. And I think that's something we've kind of done a decent job in, is converting on third down, staying on the field, finding points. We got to do a better job of getting in the end zone, but I definitely think that, having those long drives and giving our defense a little break, is good, because I know how it is to be on the other side where, you feel like you're getting 3 and outs and you're not really catching your rhythm. It's suffocating as an offense. So I think the better we can do that, the more we can, have that recipe win. And I think our special teams does a great job, of handling those pressure moments too. So we're all playing together. I think it's a recipe for success. Thank you, guys.